or experience rather than theory or pure logic. User-centered design is iterative. You can't make final design in one go. You have to move to and fro, and we will see this point inshallah once we discuss user experience design specifically, or maybe through the way in this course. So you need cycles of activities actually to make the user-centered design. If you read the history of, for example, first iPhone, how it was designed, or first even computer, how it was designed, it was series of activities and that were performed until final design was reached. User-centered design is participative. You need the involvement of relevant stakeholders. Their input is very important. And other than relevant stakeholder, you also need the input of people from different fields, as we saw in different definitions of ergonomics. User-centered design is non-Procrustean. Now, this relates to a historical perspective. I'm not going through that. So the idea, however, is that it is assuming that if you make for example, something bigger than required, you can make the user shorter accordingly. And if something is, I repeat that if you make something bigger than the user required, you can make the user bigger. You can somehow stretch the user according to the product you have designed. And if you have made something shorter than the user, so you can squeeze the user according to the design that you have made. So that is actually same thing as fitting the man to the job. So what I'm not going into the meaning of Procrustean, but the idea is that you can modify the user. You can make the user adapt to the product that you have designed, and that is a wrong assumption, of course. So enforcing conformity without regard to natural variation or individuality. So that is the dictionary meaning of word Procrustean. User-centered design takes due account of the user's task. That is obvious that you have to consider the characteristics of the tasks as well. Characteristics of the task. User-centered design is systems oriented, so you have to consider not only the user and the task and the product, but how that user, his task and the product that he's using is interacting with the other elements of the system. So it is system oriented as well. So the final is user-centered design is pragmatic. And the word pragmatic means dealing with things in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical consideration. So it is very similar to the first point. So you have to consider the practical aspects as well. So in all definitions, we saw that there was a user and there was an environment in which that user was working. And environment had different meanings. The simplest system could include a human, a user, and environment. Relatively complex system could include, of course, human, environment, as well as machine. And again, machine could be different things that that person is using. And of course, the system can be more complex. There could be, for example, many machines, many equipments in the system, and one human and environment, of course, and practically, of course, we know that all these three things are there. There is human, machine, and environment, but number can vary, but actually all these three are there. Now, my question is, how many interactions are possible there? So, for example, if we consider the simplistic system, that is a human, a machine, and environment, how many ways these three elements of the systems can interact with each other? How many ways are possible? So think over it. I will come to this point in one of the following slides. Same thing actually depicted pictorially here is that on one side we have human, and on other side we have machine, and of course the dotted boundary is the environment. And this dotted line in between the human and machine is the interface or relationship between human and machine. So this dotted line is that interface. So this is the point where human interacts with the machine. So generally controls are used to make human interact with the machine. Controls is the interface between human and machine. Like for example, I'm writing with the pen on my tablet, so that pen is actually the control that I'm using, or the keyboard of my laptop is the control. And then when I'm writing, for example, something, there is a process, and that process gives some output. And that output is shown as display. So I'm writing something, so writing with the help of a control. And of course, the computer is using some inputs to display this output. So the screen is the display, and the word that I have written is the output. And myself or you people are seeing this display with the help of a sense, in this case with the help of eye, and we are getting some meaning out of this word so that there is some information processing going on, and we might be taking some action based on the information that I am getting. So for example, I may be writing something more based on and the information or some other action will be performed. So this is a simplistic view of how humans, machine, and environment interact. So environment is always there. So I am using lighting in my room. For example, there is certain temperature in the room where myself or you people are sitting. And of course, ambient environment is always there. And of course, social environment, especially at workplaces there, and that impacts the performance as well. The same thing can be shown in another way as well. So again, we have human, machine, and environment. And there are certain, of course, inputs. So we are sort of expanding this side a little more. So there is a system that consists of humans, machines, and environment. And this system takes some inputs in the form of energy, matter, and information. And of course, we get some outputs, products, energy transformation, and knowledge. But there are some byproducts as well, waste products, rejects, accidents, injuries, and absenteeism. And one of the goals actually of this course is to reduce or eliminate at least some of these byproducts. Most important could be accidents, injuries, absenteeism, and some environment related byproducts. So that is also one of the goals of this course, course of ergonomics. A simple work system, people interact with the machine to turn inputs into outputs. Efficient systems minimize byproducts of all kinds. E is the local environment, M is the machine, and H is the human operator in this figure. As I asked you a question, so there are actually 6 combinations that are possible. In a simple system consisting of one person, one machine, and an environment, 6 directional interactions are possible. So humans can affect machines, humans can affect environment, machines can impact humans, machines can impact environment, environment can impact humans, and environment can impact machines. So if there is one machine and one person, and of course environment, so there are 6 directional interactions possible. And of course, there are more than one, and that is the case actually, more than one machine, more than one person. In fact, there are hundreds of such machines and individuals. So there could be maybe millions of interaction that might be possible in some cases. So 4 of these involve the person. So Humans can impact machines, humans can impact environment, machine can impact human, and environment can impact human. So these are the four interaction in which humans are involved. Human can impact machine and environment, and of course, machine and environment can impact humans. So each of the components of a particular work system may interact either directly or indirectly with others. For example, machine may change the state of the environment. So machine may first impact environment, but that environment then may affect the user. So the machine may change the state of the environment by emitting noise or heat, and that noise or heat may impact the user. So this interaction, even in this very simple cases, is not that simple. It can involve complexity. So in this first lecture, Introduction to Human Factors Engineering, we discuss what is the focus of ergonomics, that is the design the job for the man or fit the job for the man. So our focus is user-centered design. Now this design could be design of product, tools, equipment, workplace or information. So that is the focus of ergonomics or human factors engineering, user-centered design. And we saw that there are actually, for the sake of understanding, we saw that there are three pillars of ergonomics. On one side, we had anatomy and biomechanics. So they are very much interrelated. On the second side, we saw physiology. And on the third, we saw psychology. So, and we also discussed one important thing that we discussed was, other than these two, the fallacies about this field of human factors and ergonomics. So I hope you have some foundation of this this course, what ergonomics is about, what is its goals, its foundational areas, like these three they are mentioned here, and some important fallacies. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you very much.